Good evening. This is Mario with MarioFinkbiner.com. Again, www.MarioFinkbiner.com. And tonight's evening reflection thought. It's pretty interesting. I don't know. I'll say it, and hopefully people will get as we get people. So here it is, and I want you to think about it. Are you on the same wavelength when you're speaking to people? How to identify if you are and ways to adjust. So, today is a pretty interesting day for me in that sense because that's what I wanted to discuss with you. This light's messed up today. I don't know. Okay. I guess the Halloween thing is still going. Now, are you really on the same wavelength when speaking to people? Well, the question is this. And you got to ask, I'm about to jump on to a webinar at 9, so I'm excited about it, and then another one at 10. So, but I wanted to get this off. Think about this. Have you ever talked to somebody? Let's talk about these married couples. If you're married, and you're just on the different wavelength. Or, as me, are you talking to, as a parent, to your children, and you just scratch your head and say, what in the world? Because you think you're saying it one way, and you're just like, I love my son and I love my daughter, and I talk to crazy dude, but he really just licks and, nips at me. But I want you to really seriously think about it. You talk to somebody, you ask them a question, you explain your reason for the subject, and then you're like, huh? Because they come up with some of the wackiest things. And you ask, or at least you're thinking, like I am, do you know how to listen? So I want you to take that same concept and apply it to when you're presenting yourself. When you're offering a business opportunity to somebody and you're excited about it, and nothing wrong with it. But when you're excited about it and you think you're explaining it, and then all of a sudden the person talking to you is completely lost. Well, this is why I brought that up, because I want to ask you a question about it. Why do any network that you have, any organization that you're associated, any niche that you're associated with, why is it that you happen to have them where they spent thousands and thousands, perhaps even $1 million plus in marketing and advertising, and you just motor mouth them right out of it? You drive them nuts instead of letting the tools that you have educate them. See, our goal is to present. We are presenters. Our goal is not to try to explain and not take a breath. Have you ever heard somebody that they just, oh my God, they say, are you open for an opportunity? And you make the mistake of saying yes. And then all of a sudden they just talk for 5 minutes without even taking a breath. And you wonder if they're breathing. And that's the same thing I try to tell people here. You want to ask yourself, it just seems to amaze me. I'm talking to somebody, and they're either lying to my face if I'm dealing with mortgage companies, on that, because of my background. And I know they're lying, and they know I'm lying. They know they're lying to me, and they still do it. Or if you're talking to your son or your daughter, and you spelled out exactly, Halloween's coming. My daughter's 13. I want to make sure she's safe. So I said certain things. And it was like talking to the wall because she's so excited and wrapped up. So I want you to do that when you're dealing with people and when you're trying to present the opportunity. Ask yourself, are they really paying attention? So the first question you may ask is, hey, is this a good time to talk to you? Because if they're worried about their kids running in the background, if you call them at 8 o'clock and they're getting ready for bed, perhaps that wasn't the best time to talk to them. They're not focused on you. So that's a question. Another, if you're talking to them and one person's analytical and the other one is visual, and you're sitting there blabbering, and the person needs a visual presentation, well, why aren't you using the tools to offer your opportunity and to explain it? You know, how many people these days love videos? They get teaser videos for movies to go to because of the trailers. So you should entice them with a video. A lot of people like to learn. They don't feel like they want to be bombarded with information, so they can watch a video and they can take notes or they can replay it or whatever. One thing I dislike is when somebody gives me something to look at and then they call me 5 minutes later. I said, I'll get back to you and I'll respond to you. Now, that's key important. If they respond to them, then you're going to respond to them. You keep your word and do it. But again, I don't know about you, when I played soccer and some of my teammates were Italian, so we would speak in Italian sometimes to tell, especially when we had set plays. So we would know what we were going to do without the opposing team knowing it. But I don't think you should do that when you're dealing with an opportunity. I don't think that's something appropriate. I also think it's disrespectful if you go into some place and the other people don't know what you're speaking and you speak a different language in front of them. I think that's rude, but that's me. Unless it's a combat situation or a game situation, you don't want to disclose the information. You should not. But again, I want you to keep in mind whenever you're dealing with and approaching somebody, hey, Ann. Evening, Mara. Yes. Hi, Anna. And Ann. All right. So, again, when you are talking to somebody, I want you to think and make sure before you do too much to make sure you're on the same wavelength. And if you're not sure what I meant, play it back again. Make sure you share this one because I think this happens to a lot of people. They get so excited. They get so wrapped up in saying, oh, I'm going to show the opportunity that they don't use these and this. This is one. These are two. Listen. Ask questions to the person. Make sure you're talking in their wavelength. Make sure you're explaining to them in the way they want to learn, not in the way you think. Especially for the newbies. If you got and excited about a different opportunity, the way you do it is you don't just you listen. You get on their wavelength. Now, I'm not sure if I agree that, if they have an accent, you start talking like accent. If they speak slow, you start speaking slow. But what you can do is if you are motor mouth and they tend to go slowly, you can slow it down. I can tell you from teaching for 15 years in high school and college that it definitely certain kids learn certain ways, and you should modify and adjust. You should take that skill and apply it toward this opportunity when you're teaching. Now, I have a passion for the health and wellness, and I want to make sure people are healthy, and I want to make sure that if they want to join me, they can also have an opportunity to create a wealth with it. You might as well. But what I do is I want to make sure we're on the same wavelength from the beginning. Now, if somebody's not interested in creating wealth, then I'm not going to shove them that opportunity. It's just going to turn them off. So again, if you're not sure, think about it. If you have a significant other, your spouse or whatever, and you say one thing and that person, that's why it's always important to me. It's key is communication, especially in a relationship. If you say one thing and you think the person understood what you said, you ask them in a nice way to repeat. Hey, did you understand what I'm saying? Or, did you get what I meant? And if they can't respond back to you, then guess what? They didn't understand the way they weren't listening to it at that time. So that gives you a hint already. So in closing, I want you to realize this. Are you really on the same wavelength when you're speaking to people? If not, make sure you do. You identify it. And what you want to do is I want to identify it and then, or adjust the way, have ways to adjust. In other words, if you ask them something and they're not into it, if you ask somebody, hey, are you better at speaking and doing visual, audio, or are you better at visual? Then that's the way you present it to them. And my suggestion, stop talking so much, send them off the information, especially in almost any business opportunity, they've spent millions of dollars in marketing. So use the tools. I don't know why we don't use the tools. You take the tools, you hand them. They can present that presentation a lot of times better, especially if you're brand new, because you're nervous and that present it. Send them the video, let them talk about it, and then ask them to give them back feedback. Hey, what did you like best about it? What excited you about it? Are you ready to start? That's the way you do it. But you want to be on the same wavelength. Don't be like me or other parents who say, we talk to our teenage sons or children, and then they're like, hello, are you on the same page as me? You know, it baffled me. Now I can appreciate what my mother and father went through with me because, you know, I wasn't the easiest thing going there, but, you know, I was a guy. Hey, what do you want? But in closing, again, think. Use the ears. There's two of them. One mouth. Listen, ask questions, talk to them. Make sure you're on the same wave as your clients. Make sure you're on the same wave as your business partners. Make sure you're on the same wavelength as the potential customer. And with that, have a great evening. Talk to you soon. Talk to you tomorrow. To a healthy and wealthy lifestyle. Talk to you again. Again, share it. Subscribe to my blog, www.mariofinkbiner.com.